Hello, everybody. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Today, I'm sitting here with Shelley Walters with FC Tucker and Kyle Morris with FC Tucker. Justin is out going to Cabo. I think he's leaving this afternoon or tomorrow. And Greg Cooper will be on the show next week. Hey, everybody. What's going on with this market? We're only, 7 weeks, 8 weeks away from spring? What's going on?
I don't know. I think spring sprung this weekend.
Yeah, it's pretty intense right now. I mean, we've been talking about
the weather-wise.
We've been talking about for weeks of what the spring market was going to be, and I just think
it hadn't kicked off yet because the inventories aren't there yet. But
it hasn't. But I think we got to be transparent. You know what we've been predicting for the past couple of weeks, and Shelley and I were talking about it over the weekend. I mean, we missed the timeline on it. I don't think we could have predicted it, but it started within the past 7-10 days. We kind of saw it a little bit last week, but not like it happened in the past.
So we're talking about in the stats right now. I mean,
my gosh, yes.
So what happened last week? Did we have 100 homes come on market or what? I don't understand.
No, it's just we were really concerned about our inventory situation and that it was going to start causing multiple offers and all this other stuff.
But we're not in multiple offers right now.
Yes, we are.
Okay,
yes,
let's talk about that right now.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. I mean, Greg has talked about it before. Like, if you're a perfect house, you're still going to get competition for it, right? Like you just are. But in the past 7-10 days, Shelley and I have dealt with it quite a bit. We are dealing with multiple offer situations over list. And I'm talking about houses that are on the market a day and a half. Right now. Now, here's the thing. If you've been sitting, you're still in the same kind of market that you were, a month ago, right? But if you're a new house ready to go, all of a sudden, because people look at a house and it's like, hey, it's been on the market, what's wrong with it? They see something that pops up. But the new houses right now, they are gone. Yeah. I mean, they are just gone. I mean, my team member, Bo, he wrote on 2 different houses this week. Both of them were multiple offers in a day. We got one, or myself, I got one, and I had to go over list to get it. You both had a listing, Shelley, right, that had multiple offers, and you wrote on it.
Yeah, I had 7 offers on my listing, and we wrote an offer, multiple offer. The house had been on the market a couple of days. So it was just actually kind of, a little bit of a mindset had to switch because, we had just been kind of December and early January, and all of a sudden I had to go into high gear all day Saturday and Sunday, dealing with the 7 offers coming in and going back and forth with those, and then all of a sudden my buyer wanting to make an offer and then talking to that agent and pulling out the escalation clause, our new appraisal gap contract, and just all of that again, the floor on the inspection item, the threshold for that.
Well, you just said something. The new appraisal gap. What did that just come out?
A document for it.
Okay,
because it was so real. I mean, we had appraisal gaps for the past year and a half or so, but there wasn't a document. So IAAR made a document specifically for that because it became something that everybody was just handwriting in, playing lawyer like you're not supposed to, how you wanted to say appraisal gap, but now we have a document. So it was just very interesting to sit down and start to write an offer and have that conversation with the buyer again. And the other conversation I had with the buyer, which is back, is the conversation of, is this the time to buy? And we've talked, we've had this conversation with our buyers for 2 years, and you were talking about, Kyle, with somebody, talking about in 2018, the prices are gone up. Current market just came out for MIBOR stats saying that currently the price in Hamilton County over last January is up 13%. And before that, it was 20% before that. So,
and even to that point, we were talking about this over the summer, and when we knew the market was going down a little bit, right? In July, I believe, we were up 20%. And so we ended the year up, what you just said, right? 13%. And people are like, oh, the market's down. It's still up year over year for the record, right? It's just down a little bit from July. And now we're seeing what's going on right now.
But those numbers are still very high. And the other conversation I was having with my buyer, who will be a seller, is whether or not he should buy right now because he's concerned the prices will drop sooner or later.
The prices will drop, but let me just tell you something. Yesterday we hit a high for rates. Okay, you got rates right now at 6.5 to 6.625. Just a few weeks ago we were 6.25, 6.125. If you really squeezed your right buyer in a few weeks back, you could have been at 5.99. So when a guy says, I'm going to wait, go ahead and wait. The interest rates are going to come up. Maybe you want to snag the right house.
Well, here was the conversation I had with him. So he wants to sell. So he has a house he wants to sell, and he's going to gain. His equity is about $150,000 that he wasn't expecting. And he's talking about whether or not he should be purchasing right now, because what if the property values go down in the next 5 years when he's ready to buy? And I said, do you think your house that you're purchasing is going to go down $150,000?
No way.
I mean, the equity that you have right now turned over into the new purchase, if you're not buying, you've got a lot of money that you can take in because of that. But if you're buying, if you're worried about your price going down on the house you bought, you have so much equity that you put into that house that is going to be
and earned
very hard to lose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In his case, 150. Let's just say you've got 50,000 equity, which is pretty normal for anybody. That's going to take a long time to lose all that in your new home. It's all relative.
I mean, it would take something catastrophic that can't be predicted in the first place, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so like I actually kind of agree to disagree with what you said, Tony. I think the prices did go down. There was a slight adjustment, but I don't see it happening again.
What adjustment don't you see happening again?
I don't see the prices. I mean, we don't
have the house prices.
Yeah, not with the inventory situation we have.
Well, you could be right. I mean, I'm not right or wrong on this. I'm just going by what I see and what I learned from you guys and what my bore in the market is. But if I were going to sell a premium house right now, I think I would probably take what I'm getting. I don't know if I would wait for the market. That's just me.
But I think you're right.
There is nothing to wait for. What are you waiting for?
Well, a lot of people are waiting. I just had a guy say to me yesterday, I'm going to wait for the interest rates to come down. Well, you might have a long wait.
So I don't disagree with that, though. So I do think depending on what your price point is, you could see adjustments, because I think if you're looking at over $1 million, right, which is more of a luxury item, with higher interest rates, people just are going to be handling their money different. Like when you're talking about that kind of I mean, it's relative, right? But, when you're in a little bit lower price point, you're moving because you have to a lot of times, not because you just want to go buy $1 million house, right? Like I'm pretty sure if you're in a $750,000 house, it's a sufficient house. It's just you want to buy a more expensive house. And so I think you could see price adjustments there on the top end. But when you're talking 200 to 425, we'll call it, I just don't see it coming down. I mean, that's where
you're probably right. I mean, anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people buy.
And that's exactly the conversation I had with them as well. Theirs is a family situation of just wanting to have more space. They're growing. Mm-hmm. And so the conversation is you've got equity, you're going to purchase a home. No matter what the situation is right now, is that what you need to do? Yeah. If you seriously need to move because it's just getting very uncomfortable in your home, then yes, look into your finances and see if it's a perfect time for you to buy or not. But don't try and guess what's going to happen in the future to make that decision, because in their situation, I think it's more, and there's a lot of people, you need to move, or it's just going to be best for you to move. So the other thing, when you're saying the prices are down, when we were up 20% and now they say it's at 13%, it's not at negative 10%. It didn't go all the way down and less. It's still high. It's still, let's just say it's still 13% up instead of 20% up. Nobody's losing money, and that equity is still very high. Mm-hmm. So when it says it's going down, it didn't go into the negatives.
Well, let's say your house did go down. Let's say you're upside down by like $20,000, but you basically, I don't want to say steal, it's not the right word, but I'm just trying to think of a way to term it here. You basically get to steal an extra $20,000 of equity out of the house you sold, though, right? So like it kind of offsets to a certain extent, right? And the bigger thing is, generally outside of the past couple of years, the rule of thumb has been you're going to live in a house for 5 to 7 years anyways, to make sure that you don't take a loss on it. And that's how, the cycle of life kind of works. But all of a sudden in the past 2 years, because rates are so low and there was so much appreciation, you saw people moving in a year, 2 years, which is just completely outside of the norm of what the housing industry does. So I would say those moves have been disproportionate, not the actual housing market cycle, so to speak. I mean, it's gone up, but I don't know. Indiana is just got a low cost of living, and I think we're just acclimating to what the rest of the nation is. We have a lot of people moving here from the East Coast and Chicago, and
we got a lot
Texas.
of people moving in here from Chicago.
We do. Well, and you think about that. They take a $1.5 million house, they buy a $750,000 house here. It's twice the size now. You don't have the same property tax situation, and they come out insanely ahead. It's just that we're not. So they think they're getting a huge windfall, and everybody here gets.
It's
upset,
normal for us.
Yeah.
Fantastic
well, the
for them.
MIBOR stats that came out, one of the things they were talking about is Again, we are looking at the past 7 days here. We're looking very local. If you're sitting and listening to the national news, many places in the United States are losing value in homes.
Yes.
They are going down.
Yes.
They have a totally different market than we do. So you need to listen to the people who, like us, who are looking at the local stats all the way into your neighborhood and not listening to what the national real estate market is doing. Because yes, the national real estate market is doing totally different than what we are doing because of our living
But let me ask you a
situation.
question. For when you say we're doing good, let's talk about inventory for just a minute. I don't want to go through the stats yet, but how much inventory do we have, let's say in Hamilton County? We got 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. How much inventory do we have?
According to MyBor stats, they just put out the amount of inventory right now is at 1.5 months, 1.5 months.
Which is all
just for Hamilton County, the whole. Go ahead.
That's Hamilton County, right?
That's Hamilton County, and all of the 16
16
county donut areas where we talk about MyBor is 2.2.
Right, it is 2.2. Perfect.
So that's close, very close.
No, I know. No, I would expect Hamilton County to be different.
Right, and looking at last January, it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not up that high.
No, it's not at all. And the median house price, I don't want to know exactly what it is in Hamilton County, but the median house sales price, January 2023, MyBor's report came out to $272,000. That would not be in Hamilton County.
No, those are the 16 down.
Right, that's the 16 counties, right.
I've looked at it. I think it's like closer in the 340,
yeah,
360.
like mid threes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And in Hamilton County, what are days on market? If you just had to kind of do a snapshot.
Well, the days on market in Hamilton County is totally different in every city.
I know.
So, I mean, we're talking,
on average, ballpark around 30. But the bigger problem we have is like one of the things we'll talk about is like it's getting disproportionate though. Right. Like so, like as a snapshot, yes, it's 30. But you know, when we're looking at the stats and I'm looking at stuff from August and stuff like that, like you're getting this.
Okay,
average.
but what do we have on Noblesville right now? I'm not going to go through the stats right now, but how many days on market for Noblesville?
39.
39 days.
Median is 22.
Okay, let me just ask you, we're not going to go through the stats yet. How many days on market for Carmel?
Sorry, 25.
25?
Yep.
There you go.
And the thing you got to think that happened in those 30 days is the Connect BLC switchover, which kind of added a little bit of time. So, like, I think that
I think in a way, we don't know how good we have it here in a way because our houses sell quickly. And I think what you said in the beginning of the show and you talked about is that, you know, we get a little bit more inventory here and you get a cream puff house. I think we are going to have multiple offers.
Houses going on the market right now are less than really what we're seeing being absorbed into the market. Even though we're seeing 2.2 average absorption rate, in certain cities, in certain areas, like Kyle just said, this weekend, if you see a house hit the market, we are back to you better go see it that day and you better go make an offer if you're interested. Cool. And you better be ready to go above list and you better be ready to do an appraisal gap and you better be able to do the threshold on inspections. Because how long have we been talking about how just 3 weeks ago, buyers, you are in a market where now you can ask for inspection items. You can do this and you can do that. We are quickly leaving all of that.
I know. That's why I think it's a great time to buy right now, even though where the rates are. Look, you're marrying the house. I'm going to go back to this. I hate this term, but you're marrying the house and you're going to date the rate if you're smart. You know what? Just get a 30-year fixed, call it a day, go back in 12 to 14 months, 15, 18 months, and if the rate comes down, reduce your payment by the months too, so you don't go back to a 30. But you're right. I think this is the time to get a great deal on a house because I think in 30 to 45 to 60 days,
it's totally different.
It's going to be a whole different game.
And also just going back to, again, what we've always been saying in the past 6 weeks or 8 weeks is you're not having to have a high interest rate that's gone higher and pay $30,000 to $40,000 over list. We are getting ready to go into both scenarios.
Yep. And so when you think about it too, like if you're a first-time home buyer, there's some stuff sitting on the market that you can go get right now for sure, right? You could go also talk to new construction right now. If you're a first-time home buyer, I mean, we looked at some last week. They're offering 2 points buy down, right?
Right. The new builds are good deals right now, if you want to call it good deal.
I think it's a good deal.
But it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's going to be gone again.
Well, not in Westfield. We have 97 new builds available in Westfield right now.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like they're moving, the new builds.
Well, their new builds are expensive too.
So I know. They're not
it's a
moving.
little bit higher price point. So
exactly. So if you're a realtor out there for your client, or if you're a client out there looking for new builds, call your realtor because the realtors can get you a deal that you cannot understand. You just cannot understand.
I've got relationships with builders. I can give a phone call and we look at one that's on the BLC, and I'll be like, hey,
they're going to give you a little bit better of a deal than if a guy walks in the door.
Well, not
we
just
both
that.
know that.
They can tell me about a spec that's not even on the market yet. That's going to be proposed closing in April that they could get under contract if and we could go look at this similar house, but still take that one. Like, I can just call just about any builder and get a little bit more information of stuff that, like, hey, this one may not work, but this one may fit the timeline better. You can get a similar deal. We are offering this. It's, or there's this neighborhood. It's still in the same school district or same county or city or whatever.
Exactly.
And you need to, exactly what you're saying is, of the 97 in Westfield active on the BLC, there's probably another 30 or 40 that they're not even putting out there because they can't put everything out on the BLC.
No, because they got so many of them out there that it's just a lot, and they're throwing a design of a house on top, and there's really not a house there. They're just putting that out there, so they know that
you can still go buy it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
You're right.
There's some that are out there that are 2 months in the ground, going up and doing the process. They're still not being marketed. So if you're just thinking that you're a buyer who's out there on your own, fledgling, trying to go through the MLS, Zillow, or whatever, you do not know half of what's out there. You really don't.
Exactly. Okay. So, all right. Well, let's jump over to Noblesville and let's start running through the stats a little bit, if we could, please.
All right. So in Noblesville last week, we had 33 go on the market, anywhere from 186. Sorry, I can't read my handwriting for a second. 186 to 1.75. 9 of them are still active, 7 pended. 24 total actually pended last week. Just only 7 of them had gone in the market in the past week. 67 total on the market. Average days on market is 39 days on market. The median is 22. But, still same problem. Last week in Noblesville, we had 74 on the market.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's dropping. And then Fishers, we had 21 go on the market. Fishers is a little bit interesting. I want to dive into it a little bit more here in a second.
Okay, do it.
Everywhere from 265 to 1.199. 9 of them are still active that went on the market last week. 12 that went on the market last week pended. Okay, 22 actually pended last week in Fishers.
Okay.
So more pended last week than went on the market, right? So there's a decrease in inventory. Over half of what pended sold in less than a week. That's the part that we're talking about, right? So there's 73 active houses on the market in Fishers. Average days on market is 36 days on market. And a couple of them, when I was looking, are like August. We got one under contract that had gone on the market end of August. If you look at the median days on market for Fishers, 5 days on market.
Okay.
Right? So you remove the outliers, things are selling very quickly in Fishers if you're a new house. So
sure.
That's where we're talking about, like, if you're a new house and you're going to sell in a heartbeat, but the stuff that's kind of went on the market before the winter and it's sitting, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking for a deal, you could go after those in a heartbeat. But all the new stuff, it is really setting kind of a scary, I don't want to say scary trend, but you just need to know ahead of time of what this market is going to look like, because this is what we've been talking about, is just starting before we even anticipated. I mean, like I said, I'm surprised that it's starting already, because usually we'd start to feel this post-Valentine's Day, maybe like around spring break. A lot of people like to list their house around spring break. They'll be out of town. They don't mind if there's all these showings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is already happening. So, and we can't get inventory up quick enough in the next 45 days. There's just no way.
Right, because so many sellers are just on the fence of should I? And
right.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, well, the answer is yes, but you also got some people that refinance their homes. Last year and the year before, they got 2.75%.
Yeah, why they? Yeah,
and they got some equity in their house. I'm thinking, why should I jump ship, blow my equity, or invest my equity in another house and go to 6.5%? You're going to have some of those people.
A lot, really.
Right, a lot of them, and that's just something that you have to deal with. And the only way they're going to jump ship is if they see a real great value in a new house in a new neighborhood of what they want to do.
And if they're trying to change into a situation like we were talking about earlier. Also, I just want to give a warning. So one of the things that happens in buyer mentality is if they see a house that's sitting, like you said, if they've been on the market since, say November, December, and then all of a sudden they just start looking and they see 60 days on market and they're thinking, oh, there's something wrong with this house. Let's make an offer. Well, you have to understand the situation of a listing. There's a lot of times people have been looking at that house for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and their conversations between the agents are, let me know if something's happening. Let me know if something's happening, because everybody's kind of like, oh, I don't have to jump today because it didn't just hit the market today. And what happens is the second that you say you're interested and you submit an offer and you say, well, it's been on the market for 60 days and let me just give an offer of $20,000 under because they must be desperate.
They're going to notify the other agents.
Yeah. Listing agent's going to call the other 4 or 5 agents that have said that. And you're going to wonder why it just went above list $10,000, $15,000 because everybody's waiting. So everybody says, well, something just happened, because that's just not right. If it's been sitting on the market for 60 days, how did they all of a sudden get multiple offers and go above list? And I've had buyers say that there's lies going on. People are making things up. No, it's because everybody got put into the position to get ready to make that offer. They weren't, because it was sitting there that long. But the second an offer happens, that's what causes multiple offers on a house that's sitting on the market for multiple days. Yeah. So be prepared and don't be that buyer that says, let's go in. Because the other way to do that is if you make that offer that day and it's been sitting on the market for 45, 60 days and you make a list price offer, they may just accept that and say, thank goodness we're done.
They will.
They will not make that phone call and start multiple offer situations. They will sell. So you want to go in low, you're going to pay more for that house. It's just how it works.
Mm-hmm. I had one, I think 2 years ago, where it had been a price reduction and it had been on the market for a little while. And that was when the market was really, really hot. And somebody else was looking at it, got notified of multiple offers, and we got put in a competitive bid situation. And we ended up having to pay over the original list price, like not just for the reduction, right? Like we ended up having to go above what they had reduced from and above because we had been put in that type of a situation.
Okay.
So
we're running out of time. So can we, let's go over your stats.
Okay. So in Carmel, very low listing amount in the past 7 days, only 21. 6 of those that hit the market did pend. Currently, total active is 89. Like you said, Kyle, looking back just 2 weeks, there were 95. So we didn't change much on the total active, but 38 of those are new builds. So really only 51 that are resales. The average day sales in the past 30 days, average days on market was 25. 46 sold. List to sale ratio in the past 30 days was 96%. So now that gets back to, are we doing multiple offers and going above list? Well, not in the past 30 days, but let's see what happens in the next 30 days. Westfield, 21 hit the market as well. 9 of those pended. Currently, there's 146 houses on the market in Westfield. 97 are new builds. Whoa. So there's really only 49. And one of the other things to do, which I didn't do, and I think I want to do next week, is out of those 49, what's the price points of all of those? How many in the 200s? How many in the 300s? How many in the 400s? So if we're looking at that, when we have 49 resales, because I would guarantee the 97s are probably all over 600, 700. So take those out. If you're looking for a house between 300 and 400, how many do you have to pick from? And that's the kind of stats I'm going to look at next week, because if you're a buyer in a certain price point, you may only have 2 to 3 to look at. And every week, if we're saying 21 hit the market, how many hit in your market? So that's where we're saying the inventory is low. If we look at large numbers, it's the whole market, anywhere from 0 to 5 million. But when we really narrow down to where that one buyer is, it's 2 or 3.
Yep.
In Zionsville, 10 hit the market. 3 of those pended. There's only 34 on the market. 11 of those are new builds. The average days on market in Zionsville is 24. And sorry, back to Westfield, average days on market is 41. 98 list to sale ratio percentage. And also Zionsville's 98 list to sale ratio, and 21 sold in the past 30 days.
Wow.
That's the end.
I don't know. I think it's just going to be really, I mean, you got to think, we were talking about it a week or two ago. You know, it's like, why do you use an agent, you know, et cetera, outside of the obvious reasons. And since March of last year, I think we've experienced 5 different types of markets.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not your norm.
Yeah.
For the last few
And
years.
if you're not in it and you don't know what you're doing, I mean, one of the reasons we have been successful, I think both of us, is because we do enough. We're like, I know this is going on right now, and we got one under contract this weekend, and I've been paying attention to this stuff. We do the podcast, all that, and as soon as I saw that we were in this situation, I knew where we had to go to get this house already, because I had been predicting that this was going to happen. All of a sudden, it's happening. I know where we need to be as a buyer to get the house, right? And so, and if you're not in it, like, you just don't know.
that's setting buyers' expectations right off the bat to explain to them when they walk into that house how they're going to have to make that offer, because you don't want to have that conversation after they fall in love with the house and say, let's make an offer, and then you go and explain to them, here's what we need to do to get the house, because then that's like sticker shock and, oh, I wasn't ready and I wasn't prepared for that. So they need to be prepared mentally and financially in every way that you're going to end up in a market like this, because I can guarantee you in some of the multiple offers that I was against this week, there were some agents who just threw a number out there because it hasn't been like this. And if they aren't paying attention to this huge shift that's getting ready to happen, and really I think has started already in Hamilton County, you're not going to get a house for your buyer.
Yeah, so that's why you got to listen to the show, because we give the stats and we're not playing around with them. They're pulled today. Our stats are valid, and we can back them up.
Yeah, there's
nothing. And if we ever make a mistake, we'll admit it.
Yeah,
the bottom line is.
I mean, we just did. Like, we didn't anticipate this. We thought this was happening in 4 weeks, not this week, right? But as somebody who represents buyers and sellers, there's nothing worse than losing a house over $2,000.
Exactly.
You know, when you, especially,
and it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Oh my God! Last year, I don't know. There was times where you'd lose a house and it's like somebody paid $20,000 more than you, and you're like, yeah, we're okay with that.
Right.
But when it's a tight window, I mean, you gotta get really good at writing offers.
Well,
and knowing what to anticipate.
Yeah. My conversation is absolutely that. So let's just say the house is $400,000, and I say we're going to do the escalation. And if anybody wants to talk about what that means or what that is, if you've not heard of that before, be good to call one of us and we'll explain it. But in that escalation document where we're stating the absolute highest we're willing to go, my conversation was, you just told me your absolutely highest is $415. If I call you tomorrow and tell you it sold for $416, are you going to be upset? If they say yes, then I go, then that's not your absolute highest. If they say no, I will not pay $416, then you're good.
You got it.
But you have to understand your escalation clause better be your absolute highest and not be upset if you lose it, like you said, by $2,000, because that means you should have escalated $2,000 more.
I always think about, all right, so who's going to offer what? And then somebody's going to offer slightly higher than that because they're going to think the same way I do, and then I have to actually be above that one too. Okay. Right? Like that's how I think.
Yeah, well, it is a psychological game as well.
Yeah. Let me jump in here. Let me just wrap this up on the mortgage rates, okay? And then we got to end the show because we're over on time. But the 30-year fixed average is 6.5%. Okay, to 6.65, the 15 years at 5.75 to 6%, subject to your credit score, loan to value, which is 20% equity or down payment. The jumbos are right around 6.125 to 6.25. You'll always have other mortgage brokers and bankers and say, no, that's not right. Well, let me tell you something. It is, because we're not, this is dry rates right here. We're talking about the market. Okay. It is subject to 20% down, 760 credit score, excuse me. And if you want to know anything about the real estate market, or you want to know anything about the rates, call 317-376-8001. Kyle, if they want to get a hold of you, how can they do it? And what name of the company that you work for, and what's the name of your group?
It's Moore's Property Group with FC Tucker. Phone number is 317-649-5122.
Okay, and quick question. Who is your boss?
My wife.
Okay. Okay. Shelly, you are now.
And wait, can I say really quickly? Happy anniversary to Kyle. It's his 1-year anniversary for being on the podcast.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And have some chocolates or something.
Yeah. Okay. Next week. Shelly, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how can they contact you to find out about a listing or what their house and value's worth, please?
You can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 317-201-2601. It's Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group with FC Tucker.
Okay. Hey, my name's Tony Cardenas. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.